محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. Brothers and sisters in Islam, as-salaam alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this, another of our sittings. Today, by Allah's will, we'll cover the topic, the criterion between Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. So our topic today is the furqan, the criterion between who? Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. And this is a new topic. We haven't covered this topic before. The criterion between Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. It was Ibn Taymiyyah who put this topic together. This topic was first put together by Ibn Taymiyyah. The criteria between Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. The allies of ar-Rahman and the allies of the Shaytaan. Okay, we begin our dars. In this world, we have haqq and we have batil. Okay, Authenticate 6, please write. In this world, we have haqq and we have batil. Therefore, those who follow the haqq and support the haqq, spend for the haqq, fight for the haqq, are called Awliyaa ar-Rahman. In this world we have haqq and we have batil. Therefore, those who support the haqq, those who believe in the haqq, support the haqq. Those who believe in the haqq, support the haqq, follow the haqq, spend for the haqq, and fight for the haqq, they are called Awliyaa ar-Rahman. In this world we have haqq and we have batil. Therefore, those who believe in the haqq, follow the haqq, support the haqq, spend for the haqq, and fight for the haqq, they are called Awliyaa ar-Rahman. Therefore, those who believe the haqq, support it, follow it, and spend for it, and fight for it are Awliyaa ar-Rahman. Likewise, those who believe in the batil, follow the batil, support the batil, spend for the batil, and fight for the batil, they are called Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Shaitan. Allah told us in the Quran that when He sent down iron from the heavens, it was a test to see who will use the iron to establish an army to fight for the haqq, and to see who will use the iron to establish an army to fight for batil. So Allah said, we sent down the iron. Don't bring me the Noble Quran translation, because they didn't translate the word properly. They said we brought forth iron. Allah didn't say that. Allah said we sent down the iron. Allah said وَأَنزَلْنَا الْحَدِيدِ, sent down. So maybe you can use Yusuf Ali's translation or Picton. Surah 57 verse 25. Likewise, those who believe in the batil, support it, follow it, spend for it, and fight for it are Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Allah told us in the Quran when He sent down the iron. It was a test to see who will use it to establish an army for the haqq and who will use it to establish an army for the batil. Okay, shukran. We have already sent our messengers with clear evidences and sent down with them the scripture and the balance that the people may maintain their affairs in justice. And we sent down iron, wherein is great military might and benefits for the people. And so that Allah may make evident those who support Him and His messenger and His messengers unseen. Indeed, Allah is powerful and exalted in might. So the iron that Allah sent down is a test for mankind to see who will use it to fight for the haqq and who will use it to fight for the batil. Okay, Authentic 6. Tell the people what is haqq and what is batil, because some people don't know what is haqq and what is batil. These are Arabic expressions. Haqq means the truth and batil means falsehood. Haqq means the truth. Tell the people what is haqq and what is batil. Haqq means the truth and batil means falsehood. These are Arabic expressions, and people go to the blog and read and they don't know what we're talking about. The battle between truth and falsehood is a never-ending battle. The battle between Hizbul Rahman, Hizbullah and Hizbul Shaytaan is a never-ending battle. It's because of this reason the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا تزال طائفة من أمتي يقاتلون الحق حتى تقوم الساعة. The day of judgment will not come. Or the Prophet said, a group of my ummah will forever fight for the truth until the hour is established. In another hadith, a group from my ummah will forever fight for the truth until they fight the army of the Dajjal. Can somebody find that hadith? Please undot Mujahida 101 to have the hujjah. لا تزال طائفة من أمتي يقاتلون الحق حتى تقوم الساعة. The day of judgment will not come until a group of my ummah forever fight for the truth. They will forever fight for the truth until they fight the army of the Dajjal. They will fight for the truth until the day of judgment. And please find this hadith because it's on the blog, it's easy to find. So this hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that the battle between truth and falsehood is a never-ending battle. Okay, Jazakallah khairan. What did you find? Imran ibn Hussein narrated, the Messenger of Allah said, a group of my people from my ummah will continue to fight for the sake of the haqq, the truth, until the last of them fight the Dajjal. Abu Dawud, Ahmad, and the Mustadrak of Al-Hakim. Okay, this is the exact hadith I was hoping for. So, why is it that a group of the ummah will forever fight for the haqq until they fight the army of the Dajjal? The reason for that is because the battle between truth and falsehood is a never-ending battle. Because in this world we have two Hizbullah and Hizbul Shaytaan. Now, Allah Ta'ala used the word Hizbul Shaytaan in the Quran in Surah 35, verse 6. Why is it that a group from the Ummah will always fight for the haqq until they fight the army of the Dajjal? The answer to the question is because in this world there are two Hizb, Hizbullah and Hizbul Shaytaan. Surely the Shaytaan is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy, treat him like an enemy. He only invites his Hizb that they may become the dwellers of the blazing fire. So those who follow the Shaytaan, they are called the Hizbul Shaytaan. And those who believe in Allah and follow the religion of Allah are called Hizbullah. Allah Ta'ala spoke about Hizbullah in Surah Ma'idah, verse 56. It is because there are two Hizbullah and Shaytaan. Ma'idah 56 is where Allah Ta'ala spoke about Hizbullah. Hizbullah are people who practice al-Wala wal-Bara. And whosoever takes Allah and His Messenger and those who have believed as protectors, then the party of Allah will be the victorious party. So, Hizbullah, they practice al-Wala wal-Bara. Al-Wala wal-Bara means to love and hate for the sake of Allah. So, the battle between truth and falsehood, haqq and batil, is a never-ending battle. It's a reality we cannot escape from. It's a reality we cannot escape. Now, a lot about Hizbullah, their characteristics. This is why Ibn Taymiyyah said the criteria, the furqan between Hizbullah and Shaytaan. Awliyaa Allah and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. So when Ibn Taymiyyah made mention of Awliyaa of Allah, he mentioned many Quranic verses that describe the characteristics of Hizbullah. Then he brought many Quranic verses that describe the characteristics of Shaytaan, Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Now the first trait that Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned is no fear will come upon them, neither shall they grieve. Okay, on 1036, you're going to write the characteristics of Hizbullah as mentioned in Quran and Sunnah. That is your next chapter in bold font. The characteristics of Hizbullah as mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. The characteristics of Hizbullah as mentioned in Quran and Sunnah. I have in front of me some characteristics of Hizbullah. Why did Allah mention these characteristics? So that you, the believer, you can tell who is Hizbullah and who is Shaytaan. That's why Allah lists their characteristics. Now, the very first characteristic, okay, of 1036, number 1. What is the first characteristic of Hizbullah? Awliyaa ar-Rahman. The very first characteristic is they do not suffer fear nor grief. They do not suffer fear nor grief. Surah 10. Verses 62 to 64. So, whenever a person is not of Hizbullah, they suffer fear and grief. Now, that verily, the awliya of Allah, those who believe in the oneness of Allah and fear Allah much, abstain from all kinds of sins and evil deeds which He has forbidden, and love Allah much, perform all kinds of good deeds which Allah has ordained. No fear shall come upon them, abstaining from all kinds of sins, evil deeds. For them are glad tidings in the life of the present world and in hereafter. No change can there be in the words of Allah. This is indeed the supreme success. So the very first characteristic, it was Ibn Taymiyyah who mentioned this current verse in his book. And all of you should buy the book, The Criterion Between Hizbullah and Shaytaan. The criterion between Awliyaa of Ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Is that they do not suffer fear nor grief. Whenever a person is not of Awliyaa Ar-Rahman, they suffer a lot of fear and grief, and their life is very, very unhappy. And the reason why they suffer fear is because chicken come home to roost. Now, Malcolm X was the first person to use that expression, chicken come home to roost. Chicken come home to roost means the crimes you did in the past will come back to haunt you in the present. So whenever a person's hands are stained with blood of innocence, they live their life in fear. And the politicians in Europe and America, they use the fear factor to collect tax from the people. So we need a strong army because we have a lot of enemies. And the reason why we have a lot of enemies is because we have started a lot of wars that are unjust. So the fear factor is a big thing in the West. So why is it that the kuffar of the West, they live their life with fear and grief? It's because they have committed a lot of crimes against humanity. And they fear that these crimes will come back to haunt them. Like Malcolm X said, the chicken come home to roost. Meaning, if you should commit crimes against humanity in the past, these sins that you have done will come back to haunt you in the present. This is the meaning of the expression, the chicken come home to roost. That's a Malcolm X expression. What it means, what you sow, you shall reap. What goes around comes around. That's what it means. What you sow, that you shall reap. The kuffar have committed a lot of crimes against humanity. And they are convinced that the crimes will come back to haunt them. People are going to take revenge against them. So they live their life with fear because they are not innocent, they are guilty. What are they guilty of? They are guilty of crime they perpetrate against humanity. The Awliyaa of Ar-Rahman, Allah said, they do not suffer fear nor grief because their hands are clean. Their hands are clean, therefore they don't suffer fear nor grief. When the envoy of the Persian king came to Medina to see Omar, the caliph, he said, where is the caliph? They said, he's lying down under the tree, sleeping. He couldn't believe it. He thought the person was making a mockery and taking the mickey. The caliph, Omar, who is the Muslim emperor, is lying down under a tree, sleeping, with no bodyguards. So the envoy of Persia thought that the Muslim was making a mockery and he was taking the mickey. How can the great man Omar be lying down under a tree sleeping? The kings of Persia, they can't do that. They have bodyguards. So when he saw Omar, he said, Hakamta wa adalta fanimta ya Omar. The king, the envoy of the Persian king, what did he say? Hakamta wa adalta fanimta ya Omar. You have judged the people, you have ruled the people, and you rule with justice, so you are able to sleep with tranquility, O Omar. That's what he said. Hakamta wa adalta fanimta ya Omar. You have governed the people. You have governed with adl, with justice, so you are able to sleep with tranquility, O Omar. That's what the man said, and he wasn't even a Muslim, a kafir. So he said Omar is able to sleep underneath a tree with tranquility, without any fear, because he ruled the people with justice. Hakamta wa adalta fanimta ya Omar. That's what the man said. And till today, this, what he said, is said in all Arab countries, in all universities. I learned that in university. Hakamta wa adalta. Hakamta. Hakamta wa adalta. Wa adalta. Fanimta ya Omar. That's what the Persian man said. Hakamta wa adalta. Fanimta ya Omar. Hakamta, you have governed the people. Wa adalta, you have governed with justice, with adl. Fanimta, so you were able to sleep with tranquility, O Omar. That was the expression of the Persian envoy when he saw Umar sleeping under a tree with tranquility. He was shocked beyond belief. He could not believe his eyes. Because the Persian kings, they have a whole lot of bodyguards around them, fear for their life. The Roman kings, the same thing. A lot of bodyguards around them for fear for their life. So how can the leader of the Muslim empire, the Khilafah, Umar, how can he be sleeping under a tree with no bodyguards? He got the shock of his life. So the first characteristic of the Awliyaa of Ar-Rahman is that they do not suffer fear nor grief. The second characteristic, Allah is the protecting friend of helper of Awliyaa Ar-Rahman. Allah is their protecting friend and helper. He was shocked because the Persian kings have a lot of bodyguards around them. So how can the leader of the Islamic empire be sleeping on the tree without any bodyguards? That's what he was thinking. That's why he said what he said. Allah is the protecting friend of helper of his awliya. Baqarah 257. Allah Ta'ala has told you in Baqarah 257 that He is the protecting friend and helper of His friend. Allah is the wali of those who believe. He brings them out from darkness into light. But as for those who disbelieve, their awliya is the tawhut, the false deities. They bring them out from light into darkness. Those are the dwellers of the fire, and they will abide therein forever. So this is the second ayah mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah when he compiled the book, The Criterion of Awliyaa of Ar-Rahman and the Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Then he also brought Surah 18 verse 44. Ibn Taymiyyah cited this ayah. Surah 18 verse 44. Now, what is the third characteristic? He also brought Surah 18 verse 44 when he compiled the characteristics of Awliyaa Ar-Rahman and Awliyaa Shaytaan. There on the day of resurrection, Al-Walaya, the protection, the power, the authority, the kingdom will be for Allah alone, the true God. He, Allah, is the best for reward and the best for the final end. So the awliya of Ar-Rahman, they will have a good ending. And Allah, the protection and the power, the authority belongs to Allah. He sends to paradise who He wants, and He sends to the hellfire who He wants. And no one can veto Allah because the power and the authority is for Him alone. Now, what is the third characteristic Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned as a sign that the person is Awliyaa Ar-Rahman? What is the third characteristic? The third characteristic, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, to prove that the person is Awliyaa Ar-Rahman, they don't fear the blame of the blameless. They don't give a monkey's what people think. They don't give a damn what people think when they practice their deen. You want to laugh at their beard? You want to laugh at the hijab? Laugh at the niqab? You want to laugh? You want to criticize us for going for jihad? They don't fear the blame of the blameless. And when he mentioned this point, he brought Ma'idah 54 as the hujjah. They don't give a damn what people think when they practice their deen. But if you're a munafiq, you always try to please and appease the kuffar. Notice the munafiqeen. They always try to please and appease the kuffar. They even shave off their beards and walk around with the name Daniel. They change their name. They don't say Muhammad, they say Mo. M-O, they shorten it. And they have inferiority complex. They are not Awliyaa of Ar-Rahman because they fear the blame of the blamer. Ibn Taymiyyah said one of the main characteristic of Awliyaa Ar-Rahman, they don't give a damn what the kuffar think. They don't fear the blame of the blame. Allah Ta'ala said, يَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَنْ يَرْتَدَّ مِنْكُمْ عَنْ دِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِي اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ يُحِبُّهُمْ وَيُحِبُّونَهُ أَذِلَّةٍ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ عِزَّةٍ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ يُجَاهِدُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. O you believe, whoever from among you turn back on his heels as an apostate from Islam, Allah will bring a people whom He will love and they will love Allah. Humble towards the believers, stand towards the disbelievers, fighting in the way of Allah, and never fear the blame of the blamers. That is the grace of Allah which He bestows on whom He wills, and Allah is all sufficient for His creatures' need. He is the all-knower. So if you want to know, check yourself, consult your heart. Are you from Awliyaa Ar-Rahman or are you from Awliyaa of Shaytaan? Check your heart. Because one of the main signs, they don't fear the blame of the blameless. And Allah mentioned many signs in the ayah. Where is the ayah? Surah, did somebody bring the ayah? 554. Okay, yes. Or you believe whoever from among you turns back from his religion, Allah will bring a people whom He will love and they will love Him. So the first quality, they love Allah. Secondly, they will be humble towards the believers and stand towards the disbelievers. So if you are not Awliyaa Ar-Rahman, your al-Wala wal-Bara is upside down and around. You are going to be harsh towards Muslims and soft towards the kuffar, like what the opposite regimes are presently doing. Fighting in the way of Allah and never fear the blame of the blame. That is the grace of Allah which He bestows on whom He wills. And Allah is the all-sufficient for His creatures' needs. So whenever you have the hypocrisy, whenever you have the disease of hypocrisy in your heart, you keep compromising on your deen to be accepted by the kuffar. A'udhu billah. You change your creed, you change your culture. You keep changing and changing and changing because you want to be accepted by the kuffar. The kuffar won't respect you when you keep changing to be accepted by them, because they themselves know that their ship is sinking. The kafirs are stupid. They know that their life is worthless and their ship is sinking, their society is crumbling. So when you compromise on your deen to be accepted by them, they will never respect you, they will never accept you. The Turkish government, they try to change to be accepted by the Europeans, and the Europeans haven't accepted the Turkish people. Kafirs will respect you if you hold on to your faith, because they themselves know that their lifestyle is rubbish. They themselves know that the ship is sinking. Why do you want to go on a ship if it's sinking? If you see the Titanic sinking, why do you want to go on it? The Kafirs, their ship is sinking. So you, the Muslim, why do you want to go on their ship? This is why they will never respect you if you give up your faith to be accepted by them, because they themselves know their culture, their lifestyle is decomposing, it is decaying, and their ship is sinking. The fourth characteristic of Awliyaa Ar-Rahman, they fight only for the sake of Allah. And Ibn Taymiyyah quoted Nisa 7. That's the ayah Ibn Taymiyyah quoted. Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they fight only for the sake of Allah. So if you are not Awliyaa ar-Rahman, you might jump on a plane and go to Syria to fight for who? FSA, the Free Syrian Army. FSA, the Free Syrian Army. So why would you jump on a plane and sacrifice your life for the Free Syrian Army? They are fighting for democracy. Are you stupid? You want to go and commit suicide to be in hell forever? Are you that stupid to go to Syria to fight for the Free Syrian Army, fighting for democracy? Stooges of the Freemasons in the West? Is that what you want to do? You want to commit suicide to be in hellfire forever? Ibn Taymiyyah said, one of the characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they fight only for the sake of Allah. الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا. Those who believe, they fight for Allah, and those who disbelieve, they fight for who? The Satan, the Taghut. So fight against the friends of the Satan, Awliyaa. Fight against the Awliyaa of the Shaytaan. Forever feeble is the plot of the Satan. When the man came to the Prophet and said, some people fight for the fame, some fight for the booty. Who is fighting for Allah? The Prophet said, the man who fights for the sake of La ilaha illallah, he is the mujahid fighting for Bismillah. Okay, find the hadith that I've just quoted. It's on the blog, so it should take you seconds to find. The Rasul told the man, the one who fights to make La ilaha illallah the highest, then he is the mujahid fighting for Bismillah. A man fights for booty. Some fight for the fame. A third fights for showing off. Which of them fights for the sake of Allah? The Prophet said, Man qatala litakun kalimatullah la ilaha illallah hiya al-ulya fahuwa al-mujahid fi sabilillah. The one who fights that Allah's word should become superior, fight in the cause of Allah. I put it to you, one of the characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, when they go to the front line, they fight only for Allah. They don't fight for tribalism and nationalism. Okay, find the hadith where the Prophet said, the man who fights for Asabiyah. Asabiyah means racism and tribalism and nationalism. And he gets flared up with his Asabiyah. And then he calls people to come and fight for his Asabiyah, his racism, his tribalism, his nationalism. And he is blind to the cause. He's not even sure if the fight is just or unjust. He is blind to their cause. If he should die in this battle, he dies belonging to the ones who belong to the days of Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means the pre-Islamic days of ignorance. Okay, find the hadith. So one of the characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, when they go to the front line, when they join the caravan, they fight for the sake of Allah, not for democracy, like the Free Syrian Army. Democracy is a religion of the Satan. Democracy is a religion of the Freemasons. Democracy is the greatest shirk. So all of you in this room who believe in democracy, you are kafirs outside the fold of Islam. Where is the hadith? The man who gets flared up for his asabiyah and calls people to fight for his asabiyah. When you go to the front line, you don't fight for asabiyah. Racism, tribalism, nationalism, you don't fight for groupism, you don't fight for democracy. I don't see the hadith. The one who gets flares up. He gets flares up. And then he calls people to come and fight for his asabiyah. And he is blind to the cause. I didn't see that hadith. He is blind to the cause for which they are fighting. He is not sure if the cause is holy or unholy. No, that's not the hadith. Okay. Doesn't matter. Asabiyah, or fights for asabiyah, or dies for asabiyah. The hadith I want, the Prophet said he gets flared up with his asabiyah. He calls people to fight for his asabiyah. He's not even sure if the cause is just or unjust. If he should die, he dies belonging to the days of Jahiliyyah. That's the hadith I want. I learned this from the lips of my Shaykh, and I cannot find the hadith. It's not on the screen. Okay, this is the hadith. Where is the takhrij? This is the hadith I wanted. Where is the takhrij? This is the one I learned from my sheikhs. Where is the takhrij? Where is the volume on the page? Okay, jazakallah khair. Okay, we continue. The fifth characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they practice al-wala. Okay, or 1036. The fifth characteristic, they practice al-wala. Was the Hujjah, Surah 58, verse 22. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباء أو أبناء أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان. You will never find people believing in Allah and the last day taken for their friends and allies, the enemies of Allah and His Messenger, even though they might be your Aba, your parents, your Abna, your kids, your Ikhwan, your siblings, your Ashira, your cousins. Also these I have written in their hearts Iman because they practice al-wala. They love and hate for my sake, so I have written in their hearts Iman. أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان. Bring me all of the ayahs. The sixth characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they feel fear when Allah's verses are recited. The sixth, they feel fear when Allah's verses are recited. Surah 8, 2 to 4. So, Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they will never play the Quran and they have a conversation in the background. That's haram. Many people, they play the Quran and then they carry on with a conversation in the background. That is haram. Allah Ta'ala said, Awliyaa ar-Rahman, when the verses of Allah is recited, their hearts feel with fear. The believers are only those who, when Allah is mentioned, feel a fear in their hearts, and when the verses of this Quran are recited unto them, the verses increase their faith and they put their trust in their Lord, who perform as-salaam and spend out of what we have provided for them. So Allah Ta'ala said, wajilat qulubuhum. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. Their hearts tremble with fear. So they respect the Quran and they listen attentively to the Quran, because Allah has instructed us that when the Quran is recited, you are not allowed to carry on a conversation while the Quran is recited. You have to listen attentively, because the Quran is Kalam Allah. Surah 7:204. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنْصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So when the Quran is recited, listen to it attentively and be silent, that you may obtain Allah's mercy. So when the Quran is recited, listen to it and be silent, that you may obtain Allah's mercy. Tafsir Tabari. Okay, shukran. We continue with the signs of Awliyaa ar-Rahman. The other sign, they are soft-hearted. Number 7, they are soft-hearted. Now, many of you have never cried in a khutbah. When last did you listen to a story of a Sahaba and cry? When last did you hear a Quranic verse recited and cried? When did you hear a hadith and cry? If you can cry, you're an evil person. Even the Prophet used to cry. Did you know that? Abu Bakr used to cry when he led the people in Salah. So one of the signs of Awliyaa ar-Rahman is that they are soft-hearted. Some of you are living in concrete jungles. Concrete jungles like big cities of Europe and America. All you see is concrete, and your hearts have become very, very hard. Allah sent down the best statement. This Quran, its parts resembling each other in goodness and truth of the people. The skins of those who fear their Lord shiver from it when they recite it or hear it. Did you hear that? The skins of those who fear their Lord shiver from it when they recite it or hear it. Then their skin and their hearts soften to the remembrance of Allah. That is the characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman. Their hearts are very soft. Some people have never cried in a khutbah. Some people have never come to a dars and cried the way their hearts are hard. If you can cry, it means you're an evil person. Because the hadith says, 2 sets of eyes, Allah has made it haram on the hellfire to touch these eyes. The eyes that keep watch over the borders of the Islamic State, and the eyes that cry for the fear of Allah. These 2 eyes, it is haram and on the hellfire to burn these eyes. Some of you have never cried in a khutbah. I don't understand how your heart can be so hard. That means you don't have the characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman. Because if you were of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, you would have cried sometimes when you hear the verses of Allah being recited. You would have cried when you heard about the description of paradise, the description of the hellfire. You would have cried. The 8th characteristic, they constantly make tawbah. They don't think of themselves as self-righteous. They constantly make tawbah and they fear hypocrisy. They constantly make tawbah and they fear hypocrisy. I put that in the notes. Hassan al-Basri said, I met 12 Sahabas and they all feared hypocrisy. And any man who is not afraid of being a hypocrite, already he is a hypocrite. Surah 3, 1-5. Allah said, the sincere believers, Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they constantly make tawbah. And the Prophet said, seek forgiveness for your sins because I seek forgiveness 100 times a day, every day. And those who, when they have committed fahisha, illegal intercourse, or wronged themselves with evil, they remember Allah and ask forgiveness for their sins. And none can forgive sins but Allah. So, Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they constantly make tawbah. If they slip, if they suffer a relapse, they make tawbah. But when a person is Awliyaa of Shaytaan, he will never make tawbah. He doesn't even feel the guilt for his zina, the guilt for his khamar, the guilt for his casino, the guilt for his homosexuality, the guilt for her lesbianism. No guilt whatsoever. What guilt? They have no guilt. But Awliyaa ar-Rahman, Allah said, they constantly make tawbah and they even fear hypocrisy. When you suffer a relapse, you make your tawbah. And the Prophet said, if you didn't commit sins, Allah would wipe you out of creation and bring about a new creation that would sin. And when they make their tawbah, then Allah will forgive them. When I was on tour of Nigeria, I quoted this hadith and the people were shocked. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim. What Allah said, if you didn't commit sins, Allah would wipe you out of creation, bring about a new creation that would sin. And when they make their tawbah, then Allah forgive them for this. This hadith is in Muslim. Find the hadith. Another characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they control their tongue and their private parts. Did you find the hadith? If you didn't commit sins, Allah would wipe you out of creation, then bring about a new creation that would sin. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim, it's also on the blog. And when you make your tawbah, then Allah will forgive you. The other characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they control their tongue and their private parts. Why? Because the hadith says, Al-Muslimu man salama al-Muslimun min lisanihi wa yadihi. The real Muslim is the one in which the other Muslims are safe from his hands and his tongue. The real Muslim. Al-Muslimu man salama al-Muslimun min lisanihi wa yadihi. The real Muslim is one in which the other Muslims are safe from his lisan, his tongue, and his hand. The other characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman. So, what is the opposite effect? What is the opposite effect? The opposite effect is, if you are Awliyaa Shaytaan, if you are a friend of Shaytaan, you have no control over your tongue and your private parts. Okay, center 6. If you are not Awliyaa ar-Rahman, it means you have lost control over your tongue and your private parts. That's what it means. Half of the Sharia was established by opposite effect. It's called mafhum mukhalafa. That is it. If the Prophet said that the believers, they control their tongue and their private parts, it means that if you are not a sincere believer, you are from the wali of the shaitan, you are Awliyaa of Shaytaan, it means you have lost control over your tongue and your private parts. It's called the opposite effect. In Sharia we say mafhum mukhalafa. And this point also means that they control their nafs. Okay, I'll send it to him. 6. Not only do they control their tongue and their private parts, but their nafs. Their entire nafs. All of their desires. Surah 79. Verses 40 to 41. This point also means that Awliyaa ar-Rahman control their nafs, meaning all of their desires, not just their tongue and their private parts, but all of their desires. Surah 79. But as for him who feared the standing before his Lord, and restrained himself from impure evil desires and lust, وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَىٰ. The Jannah will be his ma'wa, his abode, to abide therein forever. So Ibn Taymiyyah quoted this verse when he explained the characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa Shaytaan. Ibn Taymiyyah, he quoted this verse. And I would appreciate if all of you get his book, The Criterion between Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa Shaytaan. It's in English. That book was translated. It's even in PDF form on the internet. You don't have to go to bookstores to buy. This book is even in PDF form on the internet. You don't have to go to bookshops to buy. It's at your fingertips. It's a book that all Muslims should read. Ibn Taymiyyah's essay on the criterion for Awliyaa ar-Rahman and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. The 10th characteristic. What is the 10th characteristic? Their faith constantly increases. Their iman constantly increases. Because they put themselves in situations where their iman increases. They go to masjids where the iman increases. They go to study circles where the iman increases. They do activities. They do activities to make sure that their iman is increased. In other words, they take care of their heart. So the 10th characteristic, their iman increases. Tawbah 124. That is the verse where Allah spoke about the sincere believers, their iman increase. Every time they hear a new ayah, a new surah, it increases their iman. Every time they gain new ilm about the deen, it increases their iman. And remember when the Lord, what I asked you for Surah Tawbah 124. Tawbah 124. Please bring Tawbah 124. Surah 9, 124. So Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِذَا مَا أُنزِلَتْ سُورَةٌ فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ أَيُّكُمْ زَادَتْهُ هَذِهِ إِيمَانًا فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَزَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَهُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. And whenever there comes down a surah, some of them, the hypocrites say sarcastically, which of you has had his faith increased by it? As for those who believe, it has increased their faith and they rejoice. Yastabshirun. So Ibn Taymiyyah said, one of the characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they constantly increase in iman. Because they do activities to ensure that their iman is increased. They mix with gatherings where their iman is increased. They go to masjids where the khutbah increase them in their iman. They go to study circles where their iman is increased. They have friends that cause them to increase in iman. They take care of their heart. But when you are Awliyaa of Shaytaan, you don't take care of your heart. You do things that cause you to decrease in iman. Surah 48 verse 4. I'll bring that hujjah. Surah 74 verse 31. Another hujjah. They have friends who increase their iman. They go to study circles and increase it. Don't forget study circles. Weekly study circles. We have a daily study circle in here. I see people in here every day. Some of you, I see your nick in here every day. It is He who sent a sakina into the hearts of the believers that they may grow in faith along with their present faith. And to Allah belongs the host of the heavens and earth. This is Surah 48. Sakina was sent down to the believers for them to grow in faith on top of the faith they already have. And we have set none but angels as guardians of the fire, and we have fixed their number to 19 only as a fitna for the kuffar. Why? Because the kuffar said if there are only 19 angels, we are going to gang up against them and beat them up. They can't dump us into the hellfire. So Allah said, that's what you think? Well, I put the number as 19 as a fitna for you, the kuffar. In order that the people of the scripture may arrive at a certainty that the Quran is the truth as it agrees with their book. Because in their book, Allah mentioned number 19 as well. In the Torah, it's also number 19. And the Injil, number 19. 19 angels guarding the fire. And the believers may increase in faith. And the believers may increase in faith as the Quran is the haqq. And that no doubt may be left for people of the scripture. So, All these are Quranic verses proving that Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they constantly grow in Iman. The other characteristic mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah, they always have tawakkul. They always have tawakkul. Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they put their trust in Allah. If you turn the pages of Islamic history, okay, tell them what's tawakkul. Tawakkul means to put your trust in Allah. Because people who speak English, they don't know what is tawakkul. They always have tawakkul. That is, to put their trust in Allah. If you should turn the pages of Islamic history, you'll see that most battles, the kuffar were in the majority and the believers were in the minority. If you should turn the pages of history, the kuffar, they always have superior weapons. So why is it that Muslims always take on superpowers and beat them, and defeat them and confine them to the dustbin of history? Because of tawakkul. The Persian superpower is in the dustbin of history. The Roman superpower is in the dustbin of history. The Byzantium superpower is in the dustbin of history. USSR, another superpower, is in the dustbin of history. Why Muslims always take on superpowers, defeat them, and confine them to the dustbin of history? Why? Because of tawakkul. The kuffar had superior weapons. Correct that statement. The kuffar, they always have superior weapons. The Mujahideen, they don't have Tomahawk cruise missiles, the Daisy Cutter missiles, the F-16 Tomcat, the Apache helicopter, the Chinook helicopter. Mujahideen have none of these things. Yet they are able to stand up to America for about 12 years now. This war is longer than Vietnam. The longest war America fought is in Afghanistan, longer than Vietnam. You see, the kuffar, they put their tawakkul in weapons. They pick fight with Mujahideen because they put their tawakkul in weapons. I'm not saying you shouldn't have weapons. I'm not saying that. Because Allah said, prepare for them to the best of your ability. With power. With quwwah. And the Prophet said, your strength is in your firepower. I'm not saying you shouldn't have missiles and rockets that can flatten their cities. I'm not saying that. I'm not preaching backwardness. I'm not a dinosaur. What I'm saying is that you need tawakkul to use these weapons. The kuffar, they don't have any tawakkul. You know how many Kafir soldiers commit suicide? You know how many run away to Canada to seek political asylum? Do you keep in touch with fiqh al-waqi? Do you really keep in touch with fiqh al-waqi? You know how many kuffar soldiers are on drugs? Because they can't come face to face with Mujahideen. They need to take drugs, heroin, and crack to get courage to come face to face with Mujahideen. You know how many run away to Canada to seek political asylum? You know how many commit suicide? Thousands commit suicide. When do you see Mujahideen committing suicide? Mujahideen, they are desperate to go to the front line. And Allah told you that the Mujahideen, they have tawakkul. Surah 3, 172. That's the ayah that Allah said. The Mujahideen, they have tawakkul. Surah 3, 173. Then Allah told you, the Mujahideen, when they went to the Prophet to go and fight against the Romans, and the Prophet said, I don't have any animals to take you to the front line, they cried. Tawbah 92. Mujahideen don't need heroin and marijuana and crack cocaine to fight. Because they have tawakkul. They have sakina. Did you know that the Sahabas, before they went to the battle of Badr, they were able to sleep? How can you be going to the battlefield and the army is 1,000 and you are only 313 and you were able to sleep before the war began? Did you know that? You should be having a sleepless night. They didn't have a sleepless night. They were able to sleep. Prior to the battle of Badr, the Sahabas were able to sleep. The historian said, if you are able to sleep before the battle begins, it means you have sakina, tranquility in your heart. Why do they have the sakina? Because of the tawakkul. Do you think you can find the hadith that the Sahabas slept before the battle of Badr started? That is another characteristic of Awliyaa ar-Rahman. They always have tawakkul. So when the hypocrite said, a large army is going to fight you, fear them, fear them. The hypocrite said to the Sahabas in Medina, a huge army has gathered against you to fight you. Abu Sufyan has mustered a large army to fight you. Fear them, don't go, fear them. What did they say? Allah said, فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. I caused them to grow in Iman. وَقَالُوا, and they said, حَسْبُنَاللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Those believers who the hypocrites of Medina said to them, indeed the pagans have gathered against you a large army. They have mustered against you a huge army. So fear them. But it only increased them in Iman, in their faith. And they said, Allah alone is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of our affairs. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Surah 3, 173. So why the Sahabas, they cried when the Prophet said, I have no mounts, no camels, no horses to take you to the front line. Why did they cry? Because they were desperate to go and fight against the Romans. Even though the Romans considered themselves a superpower. Why they were desperate to go and fight against a superpower? Because they believe the only superpower is Allah. Every other superpower is fake. Even the word superpower is shirk. Why? The only superpower is Allah. The word superpower is shirk. Allah is the only superpower. Hurricane Katrina has proven to the world that Allah is the one and only superpower. That word is shirk. And the reason why the white man called himself a superpower is because he's suffering from a God complex. They are suffering from a God complex, so they call themselves a superpower. If you are a superpower, why you are in a quagmire in Afghanistan? If you stay, you lose. If you pull out, you lose. The Taliban is going to come back. If you stay, you lose, and if you pull out, you lose. The Taliban is going to come back. The 12 characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they constantly do dhikr. The 12 characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, they constantly do dhikr. And I spoke about dhikr, ala bi-dhikr la tatma'in al-qulub. It is by the dhikr of Allah that hearts find tranquility. The Prophet said, angels roam about on the earth, searching for gatherings where people are doing dhikr. يَتَعَاقَبُونَ فِيكُمْ مَلَائِكَةٌ بِاللَّيْلِ وَمَلَائِكَةٌ بِالنَّهَارِ. The Rasul said what? Angels roam about on the earth, searching for gatherings where people are doing dhikr. And when the angels go back to Allah, Allah asks them, how did you leave my servants? And Allah knows best about His servants. The angel said, I left them and they were engaging in dhikr. In another hadith, the angels spread their wings over the gatherings of dhikr. And Allah mentioned them in His gathering, that these people are presently in a gathering, remembering me, they are doing dhikr. The hadith is too long. I only want a piece of, if the hadith is long, just bring me a piece of the hadith. What the hadith says, I learned it from my sheikhs. Angels roam about on the earth looking for gatherings where people are doing dhikr. Who are doing dhikr? Awliyaa ar-Rahman. They are doing the dhikr. And Allah meant, if the hadith is too long, just bring me a piece of the hadith. I learned this hadith way back in 1990 in university. I can't remember. That is a long hadith. All I remember is the theme of the hadith. What is the theme? Angels roam about on the earth, searching for gatherings where people do dhikr. So now we ask the question, dhikr in jama'ah, is it an issue? Because some people don't allow it. Why some people don't allow dhikr in jama'ah? Because when the Sufis gather in their dhikr, they spread a white sheet and they say the Prophet is sitting on the white sheet, or they say that Shaykh Tijani is on the sheet. Some Shaykh is on the sheet. Abdullah Jilani is on the sheet. He's present in our dhikr gathering. So because of the shirk that they attach to the dhikr gathering, some ulama don't allow it. Dhikr in jama'ah is not an issue if the people who are doing the dhikr have the aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and they are not Sufis. On the authority of Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, Allah glorified, exalted, has supernumerary angels who rove about seeking out gatherings in which Allah's name is being invoked. You see the hadith? Angels rove about the earth looking for gatherings where people are remembering Allah. They sit with them. The angels come and sit with them and fold their wings around each other, filling in that which is between them and between the lowest heaven. When the people in the gathering depart, the angels ascend and rise up to heaven. He, the Prophet, said. Where's the rest of the hadith? He, the Prophet, said. Where's the rest of the hadith? Ibn Umar reported that the Prophet said, when you pass by the gardens of paradise, avail yourselves of them. The companions asked, what are the gardens of paradise? O Messenger of Allah, he replied, the circles of dhikr. They are roaming angels of Allah who go about looking for the circles of dhikr. And when they find them, they surround them closely. We continue our dance. When the angels go back to the heavens, Allah will ask them, how did you leave my servants? The angels will say, we left them and they were engaging in dhikr. And Allah knows best about their state. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. When any group of men remember Allah, angels surround them and mercy covers them, tranquility descends upon them. And Allah mentions them to those who are with Him. Then Allah the Almighty asks them, and He is most knowing about them, His servants. From where have you come? And they say, we have come from some servants of yours on earth. They were glorifying you, subhanAllah, exalted, witnessing that there is no deity worthy of worship but you, alhamdulillah, and ask favor. Muslim, Bukhari, Tirmidhi, Nasai. The Rasul said everything in the dunya is cursed except three things. Dhikrullah, the remembrance of Allah, a scholar of Islam, and the student of the scholar. Now when Allah said, Wala dhikrullah akbar, the dhikr of Allah is the greatest thing. What is it? What is the tafsir? Surah 29 verse 45. Inna salata tanha anil fasha wal munkar. Wala dhikr wal akbar. The dhikr of Allah is the greatest thing. What is the tafsir of the ayah? That the dhikr of Allah is the greatest thing. Well, my Shaykh told me the dhikr of Allah is the greatest thing. What it means is, Allah, when Allah mentioned you by your name among the angels, that's the greatest thing. That's the tafsir they gave. When Allah mentioned you by your name in His gathering of angels, that's the greatest thing. That is the tafsir my Shaykh gave. Wala dhikr wal akbar. When Allah mentioned you by your name in His gatherings of the angels, that is the greatest thing. The next chapter is the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Next chapter, the characteristics of the Awliyaa of Shaytaan. The characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Their characteristics stinks. Okay, the first thing, the Shaytaan has complete dominion over their heart, soul, and mind. The Shaytaan has complete dominion over their heart, soul, and mind. And these people, you cannot marry these people. Did you know that when you do zikr, the Shaytaan can tell? Do you know that? That's what my Shaykh told me. When you indulge in zikr, the Shaytaan can tell that you are making zikr, and he leaves you alone. I say, I can't be bothered with this one. I can't be bothered. Let me go and look for somebody else. He's remembering Allah. I can't be bothered. The Shaytaan knows when you do zikr, and he leaves you alone. So I can't be bothered with this one. Let me go and find a soft target. This is a tough nut to crack. Let me go and search for a soft target. So when you want to recite the Quran, seek refuge with Allah from Shaytaan, the outcast. Verily, He has no power over those who believe and put their trust only in their Lord. His power is only over those who obey and follow Him. You see that? And those who join partners with Him, with Allah. The mushrikeen, the policies. Allah said He has no power over the believers. He only has power over those who obey Him. The first characteristic mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah in his book, for Awliyaa of Shaytaan, the Shaytaan has complete control over their heart, soul, and mind. No wonder they drink alcohol and commit zina. No wonder they are confused about your sexuality. They are confused.com. The average kafir doesn't know if he's straight or he's gay. He's confused.com. The Shaytaan confuse him. He's finished. They cheat on their wives with men, not even women, with men. So Allah told you in Surah Nahl, verse 99 to 100, the Shaytaan has power over those who follow him. I did not quote this ayah, Ibn Taymiyyah did. I'm only bringing you what Ibn Taymiyyah said. I didn't quote the ayah, Ibn Taymiyyah quoted it. I'm only paraphrasing what Ibn Taymiyyah said. To prove to you that the Shaytaan has no power over the believers, the Prophet said to Omar, when the Shaytaan sees you walking down the road, he walks on the other side of the road. Find the hadith. When the Shaytaan sees you, Omar, walking down the road, he will take the other side of the road. What is that telling you? He has no power over the real believers. He only has power over the kuffar and the munafiqeen. Okay, it's a very long hadith. All I want is this piece that you quoted. This hadith is very, very long. All I want is that piece that you have just quoted. Jazakallah khair. So when people hear voices, they are hearing the voice of the shaitan. The other characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they always join the army of the Taghut. Okay, authentic Tawhid 6, the second characteristic. They always join the army of the Taghut. A'udhu billah. So whenever a person is a munafiq, a fake Muslim, he has no qualms about joining the USA army and go to Iraq and Afghanistan and kill Muslims, even though his name is Muhammad. He has no qualms about joining the British army, the French army, the Dutch army. All these armies are Freemasonic armies. These are the army of the Freemasons. Muhammad Ali, the boxer, when they said to him, "We are going to send you to Vietnam to fight," he refused. What he said? "None of those yellow people didn't call me a nigger. I'm not going to fight and kill them. None of them didn't call me a nigger. You go and fight your own battle. I'm not going to go and fight for you. Why should a black man go and die for the white man in his battle, which is oppressive? The cause is unjust. Muhammad Ali said, I'm not going to fight for you. I'm not going to kill those yellow people, the Vietnamese. None of them didn't call me a nigger." British Muslim fighting in Afghanistan and he died. British Muslim fighting in Afghanistan. He died and his family was proud of him because he died for the Queen. The British, he's from Birmingham. Birmingham is a very bad place. I've been to that city. I couldn't find one masjid with the Aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It was Madkhali and Sufis and Shia. Muhammad Ali said he's not going to fight the Vietnamese. Why? Because none of them didn't call him a nigger. Finish the sentence. Those yellow people, Vietnamese, none of them didn't call me a nigger. I'm not going to fight and kill them. So even though he wasn't on proper Tawheed, his fitra told him he cannot fight the white man battle and die for the white man. All those black people who died in Vietnam, they committed suicide to be in hellfire because they died for the Freemasons, the Freemasonic battles. So they sent many black people to Vietnam to kill them off in the Vietnam War. It's called ethnic cleansing. So why the white man sent many black people to die in Vietnam? It's ethnic cleansing. They wanted to do the same thing to Muhammad Ali. He refused. Ethnic cleansing. Sending thousands of black people to go and die in Vietnam is called ethnic cleansing. That's what the white man did to the black Americans. So whenever a person is not of Awliyaa ar-Rahman, he has no qualms about fighting, joining the army of the Taghut. What's the hujjah? Nisa 76. الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت. Those who believe fight in the cause of Allah, and those who disbelieve they fight for who? The Taghut. Whenever you are not Awliyaa ar-Rahman, you will always join the army of the Taghut. You have no qualms about fighting for the Freemasons to commit suicide only to be in the hellfire to abide forever. Like the USA army, the British army, the French army, the Dutch army. A'udhu billah. These are the armies of the Satan. If you join these armies, just to give you a bay'ah to the army, you have already become a kafir because of Nisa 76. Those who believe fight for Allah, and those who reject faith fight for who? The Taghut. If you fight for the British army, you fight for Taghut. So you are what? You are disbeliever. The ayah is clear. It doesn't get clearer than that. The third characteristic, they take Iblis as their protecting friend and help. The third characteristic, They have no qualms about fighting in the army of the Freemasons to die and abide in the fire forever. Yes. Because they are Awliyaa of Shaytaan, not Awliyaa of Rahman. If they were Awliyaa of Rahman, they would only join the Mujahideen. The only army you can join is the Mujahideen. If you join any other army, you will commit suicide to be in hellfire forever. And any Shaykh who told you you can join the British army, the American army, that Shaykh has become an apostate. Any Shaykh who tells you to join the British army, the French army, the American army, it is halal to join these armies, that Shaykh has become an apostate. The only army you can join is the Mujahideen. Because the Prophet said you should fight for La ilaha illallah, nothing else. There are other characteristics of Awliyaa ar-Rahman. Okay, that Shaykh has become an apostate because of Nisa 76. Say that? Because of Nisa 76. That's why he's an apostate. Okay, what's the other verse? Ma'idah 51. Because of Ma'idah 51, the Shaykh has become an apostate. Because of Ma'idah 51. Okay, authentic Surah 19, bring Ma'idah 51. The people don't know what is Ma'idah 51. Yes? That is the ayah we use to make takfir on any Shaykh who says you can join the American army and the British army, the French army. Ibn Hazm said you have to take the verse. Ibn Hazm, the Zahiri scholar, said you have to take the verse literally. Ibn Hazm said you have to take the verse literally. Bring me the fatwa of Ibn Hazm. You have to take the verse literally. And Ibn Hazm said every Muslim in the world believes you have to take the verse literally. What did he say? Every Muslim in the world believes you have to take this verse literally. Find the fatwa of Ibn Hazm. The other characteristic, did you find the fatwa of Ibn Hazm about this verse? He said every Muslim in the world believes you have to take this verse literally. Okay, that's the fatwa of Ibn Hazm. He said no two Muslims disagree about this verse. No two Muslims in the world disagree about this verse. If you help the kuffar against the Muslims, you have become an apostate. No two Muslims disagree about this verse. This is the fatwa of Ibn Hazm in his book Al-Muhalla. The third characteristic is they take Iblis as their protecting friend and helper and ally. The third characteristic, they take Iblis as their protecting friend and helper and ally. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm back if you can hear me. Allah says some people take the shaitan as their protecting friend and ally. Surah Nisa 119, bring the hujjah. Even Prophet Ibrahim told his father, who worship idols, I fear that the shaitan has now have you as his protected friend and ally. Okay, Surah Maryam verse 45. Even Prophet Abraham was concerned about his father. And whosoever take the shaitan as his wali, his protecting friend and helper, instead of Allah, has suffered surely a manifest loss. Oh my father, can we continue tomorrow? I have issues of talk and it's mentioned. Oh my father, verily I fear lest a torment from the most beneficent overtake you, so that you become a companion of the shaitan. Even Prophet Abraham was concerned about his father taking the shaitan as his companion. Okay, we can just a minute. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. I'll now yield the mic. Okay, shukran. Authentic Tawheed 15. Please take notes. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على إمام الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this hour of recitants. This will be the last segment of the criterion between the allies of Allah, the friends of Allah, and the friends of the Shaitan, the friends of Ar-Rahman and the friends of Shaytaan. They have certain characteristics, and I gave you the characteristics of the friends of Ar-Rahman yesterday. Today, we will tell you what are the characteristics of the friends of the Shaitan, the friends of Allah and the friends of the Shaitan. Okay, the third characteristic, they take Iblis as their protecting friend and ally. The third characteristic about the Awliyaa of Shaytaan is that they take Iblis as their protecting friend and ally. That is the third characteristic. They take Iblis as their protecting friend and ally. So in Baqarah 257, Allah said, "Alladhina kafaru awliyaa'uhum at-taghut." As for those who are kuffar, their protecting friends and allies is the Taghut. When Umar ibn al-Khattab was asked, "Who is the Taghut?" Umar said, "The Taghut is the Shaitan." And Allah is the wali of those who believe. He brings them out of the darkness into the light. But as for those who are kuffar, their awliya, the supporting friends and allies, is the Taghut. They bring them out from light into the darkness. Those are the dwellers of the hellfire, and they will abide therein forever. So one of the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is that they take Iblis for their protecting friend and ally. When Umar ibn al-Khattab was asked about the Taghut, and he said Jibt is magic and Taghut is the Shaitan. So when Allah said Awliyaa'uhum at-Taghut, their protecting friend and ally is the Taghut, Allah is talking about the false deities, the false leaders, the apostate regimes which the Saudi Salafis are protecting. So a Salafi does not belong to Awliyaa Allah. As Saudi Salafi belongs to Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Amarkhali. Okay, authentic 15, could please write what I'm saying. Amarkhali, he doesn't belong to the category of Awliyaa Allah, the friends of Allah. Amarkhali, who is cementing the thrones of the apostate regimes, he belongs to which category? Hizb al-Shaytaan, Awliyaa al-Shaytaan. Because those who reject faith, Allah said their protecting friend and ally is none other than the Taghut. So, Ibn Taymiyyah told you the criterion between Awliyaa Allah, the friends of Allah, and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. One of their characteristics is that they don't reject the Taghut. Iblis and his henchmen, they take the Taghut as their protecting friend and ally. As for the Madkhalis, they are an extension of the MI5, CIA, and FBI. The Madkhalis, they are only an extension of the MI5, the CIA, and the FBI. That's all they are. But they hide behind the clothing of Islam. So you get carried away with the thobe and the beard. Question them about their aqidah. If you question them about their aqidah, you'll find out that their protecting friend and ally is the Taghut. This is why it is haram for you to pray behind a Madkhali, because they are just an extension of the MI5, the CIA, and the FBI. They are very, very dangerous. You can't be a Muslim until you reject the Taghut. To believe in Allah is not enough to make you be a Muslim. When you believe in Allah, you are practicing half of your Shahada. If you want to be a proper Muslim, you need to believe in Allah and reject the Taghut. Another characteristic of the Awliyaa of the Shaytaan. To believe in Allah is not enough to make you a Muslim. When you believe in Allah, you are practicing half of your Shahada. The other half of the Shahada, which is incumbent upon you to practice, is to reject the Taghut. If you don't reject the Taghut, you belong to Awliyaa of Shaytaan. To believe in Allah is not enough to make you a Muslim. You are only practicing half the Shahada. The other half is to reject the Taghut. Taghut means the Shaitan and the false deities and the false leaders. Allah told you who the Taghut are. Okay, Article 15, explain who's the Taghut. The false deities. The Taghut is the false deities. The Taghut means the Shaitan, and the Taghut means the false leaders, the apostate leaders. This is why a Madkhali is an enemy of Islam, because they are cementing the thrones of the Taghut. So if you cement the thrones of the Taghut, you have now become Awliyaa of Shaytaan, the friends of the Shaitan. This is why a Salafi is the greatest enemy of Islam and Muslims. Another characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan Another characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is they don't do dhikr. They don't do dhikr, because how can Awliyaa of Shaytaan do dhikr? Impossible. They are not Awliyaa Allah, Awliyaa ar-Rahman, the friends of Allah. They are not. They are Awliyaa of Shaytaan. They are enemies of Allah. How are they going to remember Allah? Impossible. So Allah Ta'ala spoke about them, and Allah pronounced them Hizb Shaytaan, Surah 58, verse 19. I would appreciate if an admin bring me that hujjah. Surah 58, Ibn Taymiyyah quoted this. I didn't quote the ayah, Ibn Taymiyyah did. استحوذ عليهم الشيطان فأنساهم ذكر الله أولئك حزب الشيطان ألا إن حزب الشيطان هم الخاسرون. Subhanallah. The shaitan has overtaken them, their heart, their soul, and their mind. The shaitan has overtaken them, their heart, their soul, and their mind. So he has made them forget the remembrance of Allah. They are who? Hizb Shaytan, the party of the shaitan. Verily, it is the party of the shaitan that will be the losers. So what Allah is telling you in this ayah is one of the major characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, Hizb Shaytaan, is that they don't remember Allah. And Surah Tawbah, verse 7. Allah said, they forget Allah, so Allah also forgets them. They dump Allah, so Allah dumps them. If you dump Allah, Allah dumps you. If you forget Allah, Allah forgets you. The hypocrites, men and women, are from one another. They enjoin on the people the sin, the munkar, the polytheism, the kufr, the shirk. And they forbid al-ma'ruf, which is Islamic communities. And they forbid every good thing. And they close their hands from giving, spending in the path of Allah. All these characteristics that Allah is describing, these are the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan. They have forgotten Allah, so He has forgotten them. Verily, the hypocrites are the fasiqun, the rebellious and disobedient. Now, you can't take all of the Quran literally. Does Allah forget? Allah doesn't forget. So you need tafsir. Allah doesn't forget. You can't take all of the Quran literally. They have forgotten Allah, so He has forgotten them. So what is the tafsir? The tafsir is they ignore Allah, so Allah ignores them. That is the tafsir, and there is no other tafsir. They ignore Allah, and therefore Allah Ta'ala ignores them. That is the tafsir, and there is no other tafsir. Authentic Tawheed 3, please share the Hujjah with Authentic Tawheed 19. Now, Allah told you that Hizb Shaytaan, they forget Allah. Surah 58, verse 19. One of the characteristics of Hizb Shaytaan is that they don't remember Allah. How can a person who belongs to the party of the Shaytaan remembers Allah? That's impossible. The man belongs to the party of the Shaytaan. Then Allah told you in Surah 43, verse 36, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقِيدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. Anyone who withdraws from the remembrance of Allah, we appoint for him a shaitan to become his intimate companion. Oh, you have a shaitan as your intimate companion? Well, that is the plight of the person who doesn't do dhikr. And one of the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is that they can't remember Allah. My Shaykh told me that when you are doing dhikr, the Shaytaan is aware of it. He knows when you are doing dhikr. So he leaves you alone. So this nut is too hard to crack. Let me go and find a person who is not doing dhikr. And when the Shaytaan finds a person who is not doing dhikr, he sends one of his henchmen to become your constant, intimate companion. Your qareen, if he likes rum, alcohol, you're going to drink alcohol. If he likes heroin, you're going to take heroin. If he likes zina, you're going to commit zina. If he's a gay, because some jinns are gay. If he's a gay, you're going to be a gay. If he's a lesbian, you're going to be a lesbian. Your qareen. You become what your qareen is. Because the Prophet said, a man belongs to the religion of his friend. A man belongs to the religion of his friend. So choose carefully who has a friend. Authentic third 3, and could you please respond to authentic third 19. So could you find the hadith? A man belongs to the religion of his friend. So choose carefully who is your friend. If you don't do dhikr, your Quran will take over you. Yes, that's what Allah said in Surah Zukhruf, verse 36. And one of the characteristics of the Awliyaa of the Shaytaan is that they don't remember. They can't remember. Because they don't like Allah. They like the Shaytaan. They don't belong to Hizbullah. They belong to Hizb Shaytaan. So how on earth can they do dhikr? Impossible. The other characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is that they lead a wretched life. A life of mental depression. Okay, authentic third 15, the other point, the other characteristics of the friends of the Shaitan is that they lead a wretched life. A life of mental depression. They suffer grief and they suffer sorrow. Grief and sorrow and mental depression. So Allah Ta'ala told you in Surah 20, 124 to 126. Bring me these 3 verses. فَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. Anyone who abstains from my dhikr, I make sure he lives a miserable life, a wretched life, a life of hardship, a life of mental depression. They even have to live their lives on Prozac. And on Judgment Day, we shall raise him up blind. He will say, my Lord, why did you raise me up blind? When I was in the dunya, I was able to see. Allah will say, likewise, our signs came to you, our revelation, and you turn a blind eye to them. So because of that today, we treat you in the same manner. We raise you up blind. The other characteristic, number 6, is, okay, authentic 15, you're going to say, these people who do not do dhikr, they suffer mental depression, they suffer grief, they suffer pain, they suffer sorrow, they suffer disappointment. And on many occasions, they end up in the mental home. And they live their life on Prozac. Prozac is an antidepressant tablet. Prozac is a household name. Why? Because mental depression is rife. So why mental depression is rife? Because they don't do dhikr. And Allah said, "Ala bi dhikri la tatma'in al-qulub." It is only by the dhikr of Allah your heart will find contentment. And these people who have mental depression, because they are far from the deen, they are practicing. They are practicing. That's why they are suffering from mental depression. It is only with the dhikr of Allah, it is only with the dhikr of Allah the hearts find contentment. Now what is the dhikr of Jannah? We covered Jannah in this room, and many of you were not here when we covered Jannah. What is the dhikr of Jannah? The dhikr of Jannah is Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. That is the dhikr of Jannah. And this dhikr will make your heart find peace and tranquility and contentment. Allah said, "Ala bi dhikrillah tatma'in al-qulub." It is with the dhikr of Allah your hearts find peace and tranquility. One of the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is that they live a wretched life. Some of them end up in mental homes. Why? Because they have a nervous breakdown. They have a nervous breakdown. How can you be a Muslim and you go to a kafir psychologist, psychiatrist, a shrink to sort out your problems? That is very, very embarrassing. You think I would lower myself to go to a kafir psychiatrist, psychologist? I'm too proud for that. You think I would be found at a place, alcohol anonymous, people with drinking problems going to kuffar to solve their problem? Oh, then another one is heroin anonymous, cocaine anonymous. He has to go to these places for kuffar to tell him to stop taking cocaine and heroin, stop drinking alcohol, and you call yourself a Muslim? A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself with your disgusting addictions. You call yourself a Muslim and you have to consult a kafir, psychiatrist, psychologist, a shrink to sort out your mental. A'udhu billah. You're a plastic Muslim. You're a plastic Muslim. A'udhu billah. You should be ashamed of yourself. A'udhu billah. So one of the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is they live a wretched life. So you should expect that in Dar al-Kufr and Dar Harb, mental homes will be packed with people. And the prisons will be packed. Hospitals packed. Why hospitals are packed? Because sins make you suffer sickness. Sins cause you to suffer sickness. Why thousands and millions die from lung cancer? Because they smoke cigarettes. Why thousands and millions their liver is destroyed? Because they abuse alcohol. Why thousands and millions they die from the AIDS virus? Because they abuse sex. Sins make you suffer on your hospital bed. So in Dar al-Kufr and Dar al-Harb, expect the hospitals to be packed to full capacity. Expect the prisons to be packed to full capacity. And expect the madhouses to be packed to full capacity. Because all these are called the evil consequences of sin. When you are Awliyaa of Shaytaan, you either end up in a mental home, in a hospital, or in a prison, or in the cemetery itself. Because sins cut your life short. Another characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they go to the kafir courthouse for judgment, and they prefer these judgments over Sharia law. Oh, the billah. What do? They go to the kafir courthouse for judgment, and they prefer their judgment over the judgment of Allah. The evidence, Surah Nisa verse 60. Surah Nisa verse 60. They go to the kafir courthouse for judgment because they prefer such judgment over the judgment of Allah. And they think the British law is better than Sharia. They think American law is better than Sharia. Because they are Awliyaa of Shaytaan. ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به. Have you not seen those hypocrites who claim that they believe in that which has been sent down to you, O Muhammad, and that which came down before you, that they go to the false judges for their judgment, their disputes, while they were commanded by Allah to reject faith in all these false judges. I'm not finished exposing Awliyaa of Shaytaan because I want you to know, am I living with Awliyaa of Shaytaan? You need to know this because many of you are very, very naive. You need to know, am I living with Awliyaa Allah? the friends of Allah, or am I living with Awliyaa of Shaytaan? Many of you are very, very naive. So you need to know their characteristics. The seventh characteristic is they follow the waswasa of Iblis. What do? They follow the waswasa, the whispers of Iblis. I have many, many Quranic verses to prove this point. They listen to the whispers of Iblis. Even though in Surah Yasin, Allah said, you took a pledge with Allah not to follow Iblis. Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam an la ta'budu shaytan innahu lakum adun mubin. Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam. Which surah Yasin? Which ayah? Ayah 60. Isn't that so? I hope that's the ayah. Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam an la ta'budu shaytan innahu lakum adun mubin. وَنِعْبُدُنِي هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. Okay, bring me ayah 61 because it's a follow-on. Bring me the next ayah. So ayah 61. Did I not ordain for you, O children of Adam, that you should not worship the Shaytan? Verily, he is an open enemy to you, and that you should worship me alone and set up not rivals associate with me. That is the Sirat al-Mustaqim. How do you worship the Shaytan? By following the waswasa of the Shaytan. How do you worship the Shaytan? By following the waswasa of the Shaytan, and there is no other tafsir for this ayah. You worship the Shaytan by listening to his waswasa and acting upon his waswasa. And there is no other tafsir for this ayah. So, where is the other verse to prove that people listen to the waswasa of Iblis? The other verse is Surah 6 verse 112. Isn't that so? That's the other verse. Surah 6 112. So Allah Ta'ala said in Surah 6 112, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرُفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا. And so we have appointed for every prophet enemies. Shayateen from among mankind. Shayateen from among the jinns, inspiring one another with adorned speech as a delusion by way of deception. That is talking about the waswasa of Iblis. They inspire each other with their adorned speech by way of deception. If your Lord had so willed, they would not have done it. Now, the other evidence is the very last surah. Surah 114. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. The Shaitan whispers into the bosoms of the jinn, and he whispers into the bosom of human beings. My sheikhs told me the Shaitan knows when a person is making dhikr, and when he finds you making dhikr, especially the dhikr of paradise, Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar, he leaves you alone. He says, this nut is too hard to crack. I'm not going to waste time with him. Let me go and seek after somebody else who is not making dhikr. Another evidence to prove that they listen to the waswasa of Iblis. Surah 8 verse 48. This took place at the Battle of Badr. The Shaitan came to Quraysh and hyped them up. Go and fight the Muslims. لا غالب لكم اليوم من الناس. Nobody in the world can defeat you today. Go and fight the Muslims. Where was this? At the Battle of Badr. And when Iblis saw the angel Gabriel coming with 1,000 angels, he washed his hands of Quraysh. He washed his hands of Quraysh and said, you are on your own. You are on your own. I'm innocent of you. I can see things which you cannot see. He hyped them up and then he dumped them and said, you are on your own. I can see things which you cannot see. Therefore, you are on your own. Jibreel is coming with 1,000 angels. You can't win the battle. You're finished. You're on your own. I'm innocent of you. I can see things which you cannot see. But he was telling them, لا غالب لكم اليوم من الناس. No one of mankind can defeat you today at the Battle of Badr. And when he saw the angel Gabriel coming with 1,000 angels, he washed his hands of Quraysh and he ran away. In America they said he kicked rocks. In the UK they said he did a runner. A UK person said the Shaitan did a runner. That's how they speak in the UK. In America, they would say he kicked rocks. Now, how do I know how they speak in America and how they speak in the UK? I live in both places. I lived in both places. An American would say, the Shaitan, he kicked rocks. Means he ran away. A UK person said, the Shaitan, he did a runner. You are on your own because I can see things which you can see. One of the characteristics of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they listen to the waswasa of the Shaitan. Bush said, I heard a voice telling me to invade Iraq and Afghanistan. Bush said a voice told him to invade Iraq and Afghanistan. Now they are stuck in Afghanistan. This war is longer than Vietnam. This war has been going on for 12 years. Many American troops went back home with no hands, no feet, and no private parts because of IED. The same way the Shaitan used waswasa to tell Quraysh, go and fight at Badr, you can't lose. He did the same thing to George Bush, and now America is stuck in Afghanistan in a quagmire. A quagmire. If they pull out, they lose because the Taliban is going to come back. And if they stay in Afghanistan, they lose because their soldiers are going to lose their hands, their feet, and their private parts from IED. History repeats itself. The same trick the Shaitan used against Quraysh at the Battle of Badr, he used the same trick against George Bush, and now the Americans are stuck in a quagmire. How do you explain to your population a ragtag army defeated the world's only superpower? You said the Taliban, they are a ragtag army and they did not go to any military academy. How do you explain to your people? For 12 years, you can't defeat the Taliban. How do you explain that? Your problem is that you are called Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Awliyaa of Shaytaan. And you always listen to the whispers of the Shaitan. Another characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan if they withdraw from Iraq and Afghanistan, the Mujahideen will take over. If they stay, they will keep dying. Yes, if they stay, they lose. If they pull out, they lose because it's called a quagmire. What is the other characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan? They depend upon soothsayers and fortune tellers and diviners for every move they want to make. For every information they want. Soothsayers, fortune tellers, diviners. When NATO goes to war with Mujahideen, they depend upon the jinn, the shayateen, to tell them where the Mujahideen are hiding. Alhamdulillah. NATO. They will never come face to face with the Mujahideen until they approach the shayateen, the soothsayers, the fortune tellers, and the diviners to tell them the whereabouts of the Mujahideen, so that they can use drones to kill the Mujahideen. Allah Ta'ala spoke about Awliyaa of Shaytaan in Surah Mulk, verse 5. NATO can't come face to face with Mujahideen without approaching soothsayers, fortune tellers, diviners. And indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with lamps, and we have made such lamps missiles to drive away the shayateen, and have prepared for them the torment of a blazing fire. Now, why Allah used the stars as missiles to drive away the shayateen? Because they go up to listen to the conversations of Allah and His angels, and they'll come back to those soothsayers and give them information. Now, the Prophet said they use one truth and they mix it with 100 lies. Okay, find the hadith. They mix one truth with 100 lies. I'm sure the hadith is on the blog. One truth with 100 lies. They mix one truth with 100 lies. Where's the hadith? So these people, when the shayateen returns with the information, what do they do with information? They mix one truth with 100 lies. These are called Awliyaa of Shaytaan. They communicate with the jinn. What do? They communicate with the jinn. Okay, authentic 50. The next characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they dabble in black magic. They communicate with jinn, yes. Even NATO communicate with jinn for the jinn to tell them where the Mujahideen are hiding. NATO believe they can't come face to face with Mujahideen without the help of the jinn. Even the Israeli army seek the help of the jinn. The Israeli army has never come face to face with Mujahideen yet. Never. They only fought pagan Arabs. The Israeli army, they only fought pagan Arabs, those who believe in Ba'athism, Arab socialism. Till now, the Israeli army has never come face to face with Mujahideen, and they are horrified, petrified, and terrified the day they come face to face with Mujahideen, because that will be the end of Israel. Syria has to be toppled, and Mujahideen has to take over Syria before that can happen. Okay, where's the evidence that they dabble in black magic? Baqarah 102. وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت. Suleiman was no kafir. The shayateen, they were the kafir, teaching the people magic, and what came down to the two angels in Babylon Harut and Marut. Allah called them devils. Why Allah called them devils? Because they are Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Who are they? Those who dabble in black magic. The other characteristic is that they abuse drugs and alcohol in search of happiness. They depend upon drugs and alcohol in pursuit of happiness and other hallucinogens. They abuse drugs and alcohol in pursuit of happiness and other types of hallucinogens. And the happiness that they are looking for remains an elusive target. They can't get it. Because happiness is for the sincere believers, the mu'mineen. Happiness is for Awliyaa Allah, not for Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Because Allah told you that Awliyaa Allah, they don't suffer fear nor grief. Surah 10 verse 60 to 64. They abuse all kinds of hallucinogens in order to achieve happiness. But the happiness they are looking for remains an elusive target. Because happiness is for Awliyaa Allah, not for Awliyaa of Shaytaan. So you might be wondering, why is it that in Dar al-Harb people depend upon crack cocaine and heroin? Even Whitney Houston died of crack cocaine. Whitney Houston. Didn't you know Whitney Houston died of crack cocaine? And many other people in Dar al-Harb, Europe and America, they die of an overdose of drugs. I don't want to call their names. Many people die from overdose of drugs. Huge celebrities. Most celebrities, they are on drugs. And they have to go to detox. What a worthless, lousy, dirty life. You have to go to detox to get the drugs out of your system. Alhamdulillah. What a worthless, lousy, dirty life. They are unhappy. They abuse hallucinogens and drugs and alcohol in pursuit of happiness. And they can't get the happiness. Because the happiness, Allah said, is for who? Awliyaa Allah. Not for Awliyaa of Shaytaan. What a worthless, lousy, dirty life. You are abusing alcohol and drugs and other types of hallucinogens in pursuit of happiness, and you can't get the happiness. The Prophet said to the Sahabas, who is the rich man? They said the rich man is the man with dinar and dirham. The Prophet said, no, the rich man is the man with self-contentment. Please find the hadith. The rich man is the man with self-content. You can't depend upon crack cocaine and heroin and weed for happiness. Now, weed makes you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. How do I know? I live in Jamaica. You can't tell me about weed. It makes you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. But when the weed wears out of your system, you become sad again. Weed makes you keep laughing. It's called escapism. But when the weed wears out of your system, you become sad once again. And that happens to every drugs. When the drugs wear out of your system, you become sad again. It's called escapism. Okay, what's the next characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan? They use senseless pastimes to make a mockery of Allah's deen. They use senseless pastimes to make a mockery of Allah's deen. The other characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they use senseless pastime to make mockery of Allah's deen. Okay, what's the evidence? Surah 31, verse 6. Now, explain to them what is senseless pastime. Music, cartoons, and movies. Music, cartoons, and movies. They make movies and put a movie on YouTube to mock Islam. Music, cartoons, and movies. So expect them to use cartoons to insult Muhammad. Expect them to use their music to insult Allah and His Rasul. Expect them to use movies to insult Allah and His Rasul. And recently, they burnt down the American embassy in Libya because of a movie they made insulting Allah and His Rasul. The people in Libya, as well as in the Sudan, in Egypt, attacked the American embassy because of movies that they use to insult Allah and His Rasul. So, I'm not taking him. The other characteristic. So the Kafirs, the Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they use senseless pastimes to make a mockery of Quran and Sunnah. Like Allah told you in Surah Luqman verse 6. Senseless pastime is to use music, movies, and cartoons to insult Allah and His Messenger. And they have used cartoons to insult Allah and His Messenger in Europe and America. It is called smear, sneer, and jeer. Smear, sneer, and jeer, that's what it is called. Smear, sneer, and jeer. And so far, it's only white people who use cartoons to insult Muhammad. The Chinese didn't do it, or blacks of Africa, or the Indians in India. Now, when they made their movie, in a sense of Muslims, the Hindus in India, they banned the movie in India, so not in our backyard. So even though they are Hindus, they refuse to have the movie in India insulting the Prophet Muhammad. They said, not in our backyard. So it's only white people who use cartoons to insult Muhammad, because the Shaitan has full control over that race, the white race. The Shaitan has controlled their heart, soul, and mind. Only white people use cartoons to insult Muhammad, and only white people burn the Quran. No other race burned the Quran. That race scares me a lot, the white race, because they burn the Quran and they use cartoons to insult Muhammad. And it's only white people who accuse Muhammad of being a pedophile. No other race accused Muhammad of being a pedophile, only white people. So that race scares me a lot, because they insult Allah and His Rasul with impunity and immunity, they think. Only white people burn the Quran, and only white people use cartoons to insult Muhammad. Nobody else does it. The Chinese did not do it, and the Indians did not do it, and the Africans in Africa, they did not do it. Only white people do this. So that race, the white race, they scare me a lot. The Shaitan has complete control over their heart, soul, and mind. The other characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan is that they sit where Allah's deen is ridiculed. They sit in gatherings where people are making a mockery of Allah's deen and they think it is harmless fun. A Muslim will never sit where Allah's deen is ridiculed. Some people come to Paltalk and they go to rooms where people make a mockery of Islam. Okay, bring me the hujjah. Some people, they come to Paltalk and they go to rooms where people make a mockery of Islam. They find those rooms exciting because they are insulting Allah and His Rasul. Now, when the admins told people, you're not allowed to go to some room when you come to Paltalk, they were shocked. Why? Because it's the first time in their life somebody asked them to be loyal to Quran and Sunnah. How is it that we don't have problems with Arabs? If you ask if I ask an Arab not to go to a particular room because they are mocking Islam, the Arab will say, Jazakallah, Faisal, thank you for letting me know. The Arabs don't argue with me. How is it that Pakistanis don't argue with me about going to rooms where people are making a mockery? It's other people who argue about this. Their parents did not teach them how to be loyal to Quran and Sunnah. Their parents did not teach them loyalty to Quran and Sunnah. So when they come to Paltalk and they were told by the admins, you have to be loyal to Quran and Sunnah and you cannot go to rooms where they are making a mockery, they were shocked. Because it's the first time in their lives they were commanded, they were ordered, and they were told to be loyal to the Haqq. Because their parents did not teach them loyalty to Islam. They have evil upbringing. That's why when they come to Paltalk room, they go to rooms where people are making a mockery of Quran and Sunnah. The Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Another characteristic is they put a spin on all the Quranic verses to twist things out of context. They put a spin, number 30, they put a spin on all the Quranic verses to take things out of context. If you give the right explanation of the Quran, it is called tafsir. But if you twist the meaning, it is called a spin. And Allah told you to stay away from such people in Surah 6 verse 68. Surah 6 verse 68. Allah told you to abstain from such gatherings where people put a spin. If you give correct explanation of a correct verse, it is called tafsir, yes. But when you take it out of context, it is called a spin. And when you see those who engage in a false conversation about our verse, you see that? They engage in a false conversation about our verses by mocking at them. Stay away from them till they turn to another topic, another discourse. And if the shaitan causes you to forget, then after the remembrance, sit not you in the company of another verse to tell you, you can't sit in a dars, a gathering, a halqa, where the Shaykh, the Maulana or the Shaykh is putting a spin on the verses and he's taking things out of context. He's twisting the meanings. Did you know that some people, some Maulanas will tell you, the arsh of Allah means the glory of Allah. arsh is glory. The arsh of Allah is the glory of Allah. That doesn't make sense. Because if the arsh of Allah means the glory of Allah, why the Prophet said, on Judgment Day I will see Musa hanging on to one of the pillars of Allah's throne. That's called checkmate. I will see Musa hanging on to one of the pillars of Allah's throne. Some say the arsh of Allah means the glory of Allah. If the arsh of Allah means the glory of Allah, why the Prophet said, on Judgment Day, I will see Musa hanging on to one of the pillars of Allah's throne. That is called checkmate. Which is not true, because the Prophet said that on the day of judgment, Musa will be hanging on to a pillar of the arsh of Allah. Okay, why is it taking it so long to find that hadith? And it's already on the blog. Okay, I continue the dars. I haven't finished exposing the Awliyaa of Shaytaan. The other characteristic is that they hate Allah's revelation with a passion. Whereas the hadith I quoted, Musa will be hanging on to one of the pillars of Allah's throne. The hadith is on the blog, and it's taking you a long time to find it. Okay, the other characteristic is they hate Allah's revelation with a passion. And Allah spoke about it in Surah 47, verses 8 to 9. But those who disbelieve in the oneness of Allah, for them is destruction, and Allah will make their deeds vain. That is because they hate that which Allah has sent down, this Quran. So He has made their deeds fruitless. The Kafirs want you to shave off your beard. They hate that. The Kafirs want you to take off your hijab. They hate that. The French, they kicked a Muslim woman who was pregnant and she lost her baby. She miscarried her baby. What was her crime? She was wearing a hijab in Paris. The French. They kicked the baby out of her belly because she was wearing a hijab. They banned the niqab in Belgium. They banned the adhan in many European countries. They want to ban circumcision of boys. They want to ban halal meat. You have to stun the meat. The Kafirs, they want to ban everything. Not just the hijab and the beard. They want to ban everything which is Islam. Because Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they hate what Allah has revealed. And everything which is haram, they make it halal. They are human garbage. Everything which is haram, they make it halal. So because everything which is haram, they make it halal. Everything which is haram, they make it halal. You're commanded to fight them. Surah Tawbah, verse 29. Allah told you in Surah Tawbah, verse 29, why you should fight them. Because they don't make what is haram, haram, and halal, halal. They do the opposite. What is haram, they make it halal. What is halal, they make it haram. That's called what? Awliyaa of Shaytaan. The henchmen of the Shaytaan. They do the opposite. They allow incest in France and in Spain. You can date your sister. In France, you can date your daughter. Date means sex. Don't think I meant date, you take her for dinner. in Kentucky. That's what I mean. So don't misconstrue. When I say you can date your daughter in France, I don't mean you take her to Burger King. I mean sex. A man came on Jerry Springer. He was married to his horse on Jerry Springer. That's the kuffar. Why do they make everything which is haram halal? They are making a mockery of what Allah has revealed. They are making a mockery of what Allah has revealed. Awliyaa of Shaytaan. They allow women to marry women and men to marry men. Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Everything which is haram, they make it halal. I am exposing awliyaa of Shaytaan. So when you see a human shaitan, you become convinced this person is none other than the devil himself. When I finish exposing them, you'll have absolutely no doubt in your heart who is awliyaa Allah and who is awliyaa of Shaytaan. These verses I'm quoting, I didn't quote these verses. Ibn Taymiyyah quoted. Go and read Ibn Taymiyyah's book about Awliyaa Allah and Awliyaa Shaytaan. He quoted these verses, Ibn Taymiyyah. You should thank Ibn Taymiyyah, not me. I'm only quoting what Ibn Taymiyyah quoted in his book. Every Muslim home should have the book. It's on PDF on the internet. Go and read it. The allies of Allah and the allies of the Shaitan. Ibn Taymiyyah, he did the research painstakingly. Go and read his book. The PDF format is on the internet. Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they hate what Allah has revealed with a passion. And they grab every opportunity to insult Allah and His Messenger. Did you read the ayah? Indeed, my verses used to be recited to you, but you used to turn back on your heels, denying them, and with hatred to listen to them. That's Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Deny Allah's verses, and with hatred. They have hatred to listen to them because of the pride in your heart. They, the pagans of Quraysh, used to feel proud, are the dwellers of Makkah sometimes, talking evil about it, the Quran by night. Talking evil about the Quran by night. The white people of today, I saw them burning the Quran on YouTube. I saw white people burning the Quran on YouTube. I'm scared of that race because they do things even Shaitan is afraid to do. The white race. They use cartoons to insult Muhammad. They call Muhammad a pedophile and they burn the Quran. The white race. They do things even Shaitan is afraid to do. I'm scared of that race. The only way they can save themselves is to embrace Islam. I feel sorry for white people. Their only hope is to embrace Islam. Because they do things even Shaitan is afraid to do. They call Muhammad a pedophile. They use cartoons to insult Muhammad and call him a terrorist. And they burned the Holy Quran on YouTube. I saw them burning the Quran on YouTube. I'm scared of that race. Because they do things, even the Shaitan is ashamed of them. Even the Shaitan is ashamed of white people. Because they burn the Quran. They do things not even the Shaitan has the balls to do. The other characteristic, they ally with the kuffar against the believers. Okay, authentic sex characteristic, they ally with the kuffar against the believers. Okay, bring me Ma'idah 51. Bring me Ma'idah 51. And bring me Ibn Hazm fatwa about this. لا تتخذ اليهود ونصارى أولياء بعضهم أولياء بعض ومن يتولهم من القوم الظالم. We believe don't take the Jews and Christians as friends because they are friends of each other, and if any of these are taken friends, then he becomes a kafir like them, one of them. Don't be Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Become Awliyaa Allah, not Awliyaa of Shaytaan. By taking the Jews and Christians as friends and helping them to kill Muslims, you have now become Awliyaa of Shaytaan. Okay, what did Ibn Hazm have to say about this verse? Ibn Hazm said the verse has to be taken with the literal meaning that when you take sides with the kuffar, you become a kafir yourself. And he said, no two Muslims disagree about this verse. What Ibn Hazm said, no two Muslims in the world disagree about this verse, that when you help the kuffar against the Muslims, you become a kafir like them. You have to take the verse at the zahir meaning. You have to follow the zahir meaning of the verse. Ibn Hazm was a zahiri. Ibn Hazm was a zahiri. You have to take the zahir meaning of the verse. Okay, bring me what Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab had to say about this verse. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab wrote a book called Nawaqid al-Islam, al-Ashara, the 10 things that make you become a kafir. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he said the 8th thing is helping the kuffar against the Muslims. And then Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he quoted Ma'idah 51. Okay, find the fatwa of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Okay, that's the fatwa. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab used Ma'idah 51 to make takfir on those who help the kuffar against the Muslims. Okay, the last point. They can't live in the Islamic State. This is point number 16. I think it's point number 16. They can't live in the Islamic State. They live in Dar al-Kufr and Dar al-Harb. They prefer to live in Dar al-Kufr and Dar al-Harb. They cannot live in Dar al-Islam. They can't live in the Islamic State. They prefer to live in Dar al-Kufr and Dar al-Harb. Okay, bring me the fatwa of Ibn Hazm. We are going back to Ibn Hazm now. I'm going to bring you a fatwa which is going to blow your mind. I can bring you fatwas from Bin Baz, Uthaymeen, even Albani, and Ibn Hazm, fatwas that can blow your mind. Ibn Hazm said, if we establish the Islamic State and we tell a Muslim brother, come and live in the Islamic State, and he said, no, I want to go and live in Dar al-Kufr or Dar al-Harb, it is compulsory and you to kill him because he's a kafir by refusing to live in the Islamic State. Bring me the fatwa of Ibn Hazm. Because when he lives in Dar al-Kufr and Dar al-Harb, he's going to work and pay taxes to the kuffar. He's paying taxes to their coffers. And they used his money to build weapons to kill Muslims. That's what Ibn Hazm said. When we establish the Islamic State, and we say to a Muslim brother, come and live with us in Dar al-Islam. And he said, no, I prefer to go and live among the kuffar in Dar al-Kufr. Ibn Hazm said it is compulsory and you to kill him because he's a kafir. By refusing to live in the Islamic State, and he prefers to go and live with Christians and Jews in Dar al-Harb or Dar al-Kufr. Find that fatwa of Ibn Hazm. So we're going back to Al-Muhalla. You know what my Shaykh told me? The Ummah cannot live without Al-Muhalla. My Shaykh told me that in Muhammad ibn Saud. The Ummah needs Al-Muhalla. That book. The Ummah cannot live without Al-Muhalla. Ibn Hazm states that whoever joins the land of war, Dar al-Harb. So these expressions like Dar al-Harb. When I went to the UK, people said, we have never heard about that before, Dar al-Harb. Well, there are 3 Dars. Dar al-Islam, Dar al-Kufr, and Dar al-Harb. The world is split into three. Dar al-Islam, where there's Sharia. Dar al-Kufr, the land of the Kuffar, but they are not killing Muslims like Venezuela or Jamaica. A Kafir country, but they don't kill Muslims. And the third one is called Dar Harb, a Kafir country that kills the Muslims. Israel is Dar Harb. And India, the UK, the USA, they kill Muslims. In Afghanistan and in Palestine, they kill Muslims. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Palestine, Russia is Dar Harb, they kill Muslims in Shishan. Any country who is killing Muslims is Dar Harb. Ibn Hazm states, whoever joins the land of war and disbelief, Dar Harb and Dar Kufr, of his own free will, and in defiance of whoever amongst the Muslims calls him to his side, is by virtue of this an apostate. By refusing to come and live with the Muslims in Dar Islam, you become an apostate. By all the laws of apostasy in Islam, whoever is able to kill him must do so. Why? Because you're going to live among the kuffar, work for them, and pay taxes. Your money is going into their coffers, and they use the money to kill Muslims. But Ibn Hazm said, by him refusing to come and live in the Islamic State, he prefers to go and live in Europe and America with the kuffar. When the Sharia is established, whosoever is able to kill him should do so. I can bring you fatwas from scholars that can blow your mind. If you want to hear soft Islam, don't come into this room, you're not welcome. Go to the rooms of the Goofy Sufis. If you want to hear soft Islam, go to the rooms of the Madkhalis, because they are cementing the thrones of the Tawaghut, the Tawaghit. They don't reject the Tawaghut, they are in bed with the Tawaghut. If you want to hear soft Islam, go and search for a room which is run by Saudi Salafis. They preach soft Islam. Don't come to this room, you're not welcome. The last characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan, what is it? Brothers and sisters, what is the 17th and last characteristic of Awliyaa of Shaytaan? I only have 5 minutes left, bear with me. They are enemies of each other on the day of judgment. Each one is blaming the other, you cause me to go to the hellfire. They are enemies of each other on the day of judgment. That is the final characteristic about Awliyaa of Shaytaan. So what's the hujjah? What's the evidence? Surah 43, verse 67. Friends on that day will become enemies one to another, except who? Al-Muttaqun. You see that? Friends will become enemies on that day, except Al-Muttaqun. So all these people, Awliyaa of Shaytaan, they are going to be at each other's throat. Not only in the Akhirah, even in the dunya. When they lose the war in Afghanistan, they are going to blame each other. It was your idea to invade Afghanistan. Do you think they are going to hate each other only in the Akhirah, even in the dunya? Because when they embark on an adventure which turns out to be a disaster, they are going to be at each other's throat. It was your idea to invade Afghanistan. You said that it's a ragtag army. You said the Taliban, we put 10 years of embargo on them, they are weak, so we can defeat them. To defeat the Taliban is a piece of cake, let's invade. It was your idea. You were the Minister of Defense. You were the Minister of National Security. You were the National Security Advisor. You were. It was your idea. Now you have destroyed the USA because we lost the war in Afghanistan. It was your idea. You think it's only on Judgment Day they are going to be at each other's throat? That's your mistake. They will be at each other's throat in the dunya as well as the akhirah. Because when they make a decision that turns out to be a disaster, they are going to blame each other. That is the reality of kufrdom. That is a reality in kufr. And the shaitan is going to make bara from them. I have more news for you. I have more news for you. They will be at each other's throats, and guess what's going to happen to Awliyaa of Shaytaan? The shaitan is going to make bara from them. He's going to wash his hands of them. What's the evidence? Okay, authentic 2015, please write a note. On top of that, the shaitan is going to make bara from them on the day of judgment. Surah 14, verse 2. The shaitan will say, don't blame me, blame yourselves. I only tempted you. I dangled the carrot in front of you, and because you were greedy, you bite at the carrot. Okay, bring me the Hujjah, Surah 14, verse 22. The shaitan will say, don't blame me, go and blame yourselves. I only tempted you, and you accepted my temptation. Because you follow your evil and corrupted desires. You couldn't resist. So don't blame me, blame yourself. The shaitan will say on Judgment Day, by the way, when you used to worship me instead of Allah, I rejected faith in the kufr which you were practicing. Because I know better. I know that Allah is the only Lord. Do you see me claiming to be Lord of the worlds like the Pharaoh did? I never claimed to be Lord of the worlds like the Pharaoh did. I know better that Allah is the one and only Lord. So when you used to worship others beside Allah, Iblis, I rejected faith in the kufr which you were practicing. Don't blame me, blame yourselves. I only tempted you. You can't help me today, and I can't help you today. Surah Ibrahim, verse 22. Go blame yourself, don't blame me. I can't help you today, and you can't help me. I deny your former act of associating me, Iblis, as a partner with Allah. I rejected faith in your folly. When you worship me, Iblis, instead of Allah, what you were following was nothing but a concoction of human folly. I know that Allah is the only Lord. I didn't claim to be Allah like the Pharaoh did. I know that Allah alone is Lord. So when you worship me beside Allah, I rejected faith in what you were practicing, your kufr, your shirk, your zandaka. Iblis will wash his hands of Awliyaa of Shaytaan on the day of judgment. So your situation is pitiful, appalling, and pathetic. You open a church in America called the Church of Satan in 1966. You open a church in America called the Church of Satan in 1966 in America. And there are many devil-worshipping religions in the world today. The shaitan is going to wash his hands of you on the day of judgment. That is the end of our topic, Awliyaa Allah and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. It's a new topic. We haven't covered it before. It's taken from Ibn Taymiyyah's book, and the book is on the internet in PDF for everybody to read. Every Muslim home should have this book. It's a very, very important book written by Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. I'm not taking any questions. Unless the admins say otherwise. Did we exhaust all 90 minutes? Please put the notes out on the blog and Facebook as soon as possible. I'm not taking the questions. I would like to thank Authentic Tawheed 15 for the notes. Jazakallah khairan. These notes are very important because we didn't cover this topic before. The signs, the characteristics of Awliyaa Allah and Awliyaa of Shaytaan. I'd like to thank Authentic Tawheed 19 for posting the Hujjah, Authentic Tawheed 3 for helping with the Hujjah, Authentic Tawheed 12 for asking donations with our efforts. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I'll now yield the mic.